In this video, we're going to show you to install the throttle body on your Infiniti G37 X, located on both sides of your engine. Before you install the new product, you will have to perform an idle relearn process on the component. This relearn process may be found online. You can go ahead and search for it there. Start by opening your hood and using a 10mm socket, we're going to loosen and remove the hardware securing the engine cover. Set that hardware aside, grab that cover and gently lift upward, remove it and set it aside. Using an 8mm socket, we're going to loosen our hose clamp for our air intake tube to our throttle body. You can also use a flathead screwdriver if you want. Make sure that's good and loose. If you follow over here, we have a vacuum port right here. We're going to go ahead and separate this portion of our hose instead of from here. Really doesn't matter which one you do, but this one here is a little bit easier to gain access to. So use your pliers, move that clamp down. I'm going to use my hose pliers here to gently grab a hold of this, twist it, and work that hose off. Go ahead and work your way down here to the sensor. There's a tab right here. You're going to push in on this tab and pull that connector off. With that separated, follow the harness over to this connector. This is just a retaining tab holding this to the air box itself. You use needle nose pliers, just push in on these little tabs and push that through. Go ahead and undo your air box clamps by simply pulling up, and then over to the right hand side there's a 10mm bolt for the air box. Good, remove that bolt. Now we did go ahead and disconnect our clamps here for our filter setup. Pull that out, set it aside. Now we're going to follow this right back up to our throttle body, and we want to separate this from the throttle body. Pull this up. Pull up on this unit and remove it from the vehicle. Using a number 5 Allen, you want to go ahead and remove the 4 bolts holding the throttle body to the intake. Now all 4 of these bolts are the same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. I am removing these in a crisscross pattern, and they will be reinstalled and tightened in a crisscross pattern. Now on the lower portion here, these are coolant tubes here. What we're simply going to do is use our pliers here. This is designed to pinch off these lines to keep a lot of fluid loss at a minimum. Using a pair of pliers, we're going to loosen these clamps and slide them back and work those hoses off the throttle body. Use your hose pliers, give that a twist. Now you are going to lose some coolant here. You can go ahead and grab a shop rag or a towel, set it down. Once we get this one off, we'll go ahead and remove the one in the back. Now when doing this here, you also want to inspect those coolant tubes. Make sure that those hoses are still in good shape and not dry rotted. Before installing the throttle body, you want to go ahead and inspect the intake here. There is a rubber gasket to seal the throttle body to the intake. Now, if you run your finger over the top and you don't feel that the rubber gasket or the O-ring is sticking up further than the intake, you want to go ahead and replace this O-ring. You just grab this little tab, pull it off, install a new one, and seal it. Ours still feels like it has some life left in it. Just double check all the way around that surface, make sure there's no tears or anything in that. Go ahead and take your throttle body. I'm going to line this up. Install the hose. And then put that clamp into position. Do the same for the other one. Grab the throttle body. We'll remove these towels now. Make sure the surface of everything is nice and clear of any debris. Line that back up. Now I want to go ahead and get all 4 of our bolts started by hand before we tighten them down with any tools. With all these started, we're simply going to go ahead and snug these down in a crisscross pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. And gently snug them. You do not want to cause any damage to the intake. And gently snug those. Once these are all tightened down, go ahead and grab that electrical connector, line it up and push it on. You're going to feel it and hear it snap into place. When you install the air intake box here, you want to pay attention to the 2 posts that will have to go into the rubber grommets down in the frame area, and make sure that the tube mates up to this here and locks into this as we install this component. Okay, as you push this down, the rubber grommet will line up with the bracket on the side here. And then we want to go ahead and install this rubber hose here. In conjunction with the throttle body hose here. Wiggle that on. Work that up into position. We're going to go ahead and use our pliers to bring this hose clamp up into position. Up on top at the throttle body, we can now secure the clamp here. And when tightening this here, you're going to feel that hose clamp snug down. Just give it a little bit more. You don't want to over tighten it, as you can actually strip the clamp. So you want to make sure that's good and snug enough where you won't introduce any vacuum leaks to the throttle body. Down to the sensor here. Go ahead, install the harness, press that on. You're going to feel it and hear it snap into place. Go ahead and install the harness retainer right here on the side. We now install our air filter. Now is a perfect time. If you need to replace the air filter, simply pull out of the tray, replace it. Slide this down inside. Press down your retaining clips. Install the airbox retaining bolt and snug it down. Place the engine cover up on top. Line up the two studs here, and the remaining will line up themselves. Go ahead and grab your hardware and get everything started by hand. 2 nuts on the front and the remaining 3 bolts. Once you get these started, you can go ahead and gently snug them down. Once you've secured your engine cover, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.